But, guys, we're going to start on a very serious note because yesterday at the Browns' first day of mandatory minicamp, Deshaun Watson actually spoke to the media, and I think it was a huge surprise to everybody.
Yeah.
There was no indication before yesterday that he was going to do that. We had sort of theorized on the show that in light of the 23rd and the 24th accusers coming out, and now 25 and 26, that someone, whether it was Deshaun or Rusty Hardin, his attorney, or the Browns, felt we've got to swing back. We can't just take these punches. So he came out yesterday, and he did a pretty lengthy interview. He answered all the questions that were asked of him. We've picked 3 sound bites from yesterday that we thought were particularly important for one reason or another. In the first one here, you're going to hear Deshaun talk about why the jury in these civil cases should believe him over his accusers. Listen.
Why should a jury that might hear these cases believe you over dozens of women?
I understand that question, and I definitely respect it, but I feel like with this environment coming off the football field, it's hard to answer that question, especially without talking to anybody on my legal team. But at the same time, I've been honest and I've been truthful about my stance, and that's, I never forced anyone, I never assaulted anyone. So that's what, I've been saying it from the beginning, and I'm going to continue to do that until all the facts come out on the legal side. I have to continue to just, go with the process with my legal team and the court of law.
What do we make of that? Maurice, you can start. Did anything jump out? Did he misstep there when he said, without talking to my attorneys, I can't answer that?
No, I think just he was probably coached on, hey, we have so much information coming in one direction to make you look bad. You have to come back at it. But you can see, like, the first few seconds, he just summarized what they said and brought himself to a safe space to give him, like, this canned answer. And to me, that's what I saw, just you giving him this canned answer and said, hey, once we get the facts from the case and once we find out more information, I've never assaulted anybody. And I think that he just wanted to push that narrative.
Yeah.
I actually agree with that. I mean, I think he, like you said, it seems very thought of. Like, he didn't want to go act off of emotion. And I think that's what they want him to do. Like, is it bothering you? Like, show us some emotion. And he don't want to give that away. I think if he goes out there and give a whole spew, he might say something terrible and it might not go good. So I think he did the right thing by answering it the way that he did.
What do you think?
Yeah, when I used to work at DirecTV in a call center, we had a technique they used to call.
Your boys are laughing at you now.
Hey, this is it right here. Wait,
you guys used to apologize way too much, by the way.
You gotta wait for the punch.
I'm sorry your service isn't working.
So at DirecTV, we used to give people, you're right, we got a lot of complaints. We wanted to sell packages. We used to tell them we're gonna aim this person. We're gonna aim them in the direction we want to go. Now, AIM stands for acknowledge, inform, and move on, right? Or some people say acknowledge, ignore, move on. He did a perfect job there. While I understand that is, I respect the question. You acknowledged it. Mm-hmm. You informed them that your lawyer or your counsel has told you not to speak to those allegations. You informed them that, and you moved on and said, next question, or I can only concentrate on football at this time. Yeah. And what that does, it gives you a good opportunity to not be dismissive, but at the same time, you look like you're actually answering the question when you are.
One of the reasons I love this show is because you never know where the answers are coming from. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that because G. Bush worked at DirecTV in the past, he would be able to give a great answer to that first question. But I got to tell you, man, I've never heard AIM, acknowledge, inform, and move on. But it is a great PR strategy, and you're right, that's exactly what he did. So what you're saying here is he could have a future as a call center representative for DirecTV.
He can do especially, but he should not acknowledge who he is. Actually, we give them regular names. We make up names, right?
So really?
Yeah. So it'd be close to yours. My nickname was Calvin. I don't know why Calvin. It was Calvin. Like that was.
You never should have told us that.
Yeah, Calvin. So they usually ask, "Can I have your name?" Because they want your name if something go wrong. You get cable out, you can't watch the game. Can I have your name? Yeah, it's Calvin. Can I speak to your manager? Right now, our manager is kind of held up right now, taking another call.
Sally's her name.
Yeah, Sally. Yes, but we will tell you. We can take your number down. We can email you back.
This is very
and
professional.
Look,
Professional.
Yeah, they were
It
very
sounds
accommodating.
really good.
Their service stunk, but they were very accommodating.
So what you're telling me is the next time I should call them out.
oh yes, and you might get the Sunday ticket for free.
But he's gonna have like different variations of that answer.
Yep.
Like until camp.
Yep.
But he like with all these people just continuously coming out and the media making it whatever it is, like he's gonna have to have a defense to stand on, and it's going to be that, and they'll become frustrated. They're gonna ask him 1,000 different things, but I'm pretty sure when he goes home after practice, he has a whole legal team there, and they're rehearsing and going over the stuff. So
Yeah.
he's always gonna land back there.
And it did come off as coach, but you expect that. I
Yeah.
mean, their mission is to make him
has
come
to be.
across as believable, and they're going to do whatever they can to that end. All right, now the second soundbite we're going to hear is Deshaun talking about the New York Times report that there were 66 accusers, and I think most people that listened to the whole news conference yesterday pointed to this answer as the one that was perhaps the most problematic in the way he answered. So keep that in mind while you're watching this. This is, again, Deshaun on the New York Times report.
The New York Times reported that you booked massages with 66 different women over a 17-month period. Does that number 66 seem right to you?
I mean, I can answer. I don't think so for what me and my attorneys went through. But at the same time, that's more of a legal question that I can't really get into details about. So you'll probably have to ask my attorneys and things like that to confirm.
Okay, so again, he's going back to, I really can't answer that. That's a legal question. And by the way, I mean, that is the answer that you expect.
Yeah.
We talked about how we were surprised that the accusers gave the interview to HBO. And the reason that was surprising to a lot of people in the legal community was because now they've told their story publicly. Mm-hmm. And they've shown their hand, number one. Number two, if during cross in these civil trials, they slip up and just change one small detail, the attorney is waiting for that now. So they've actually sort of given the attorney a baseline for what that story is or what the event was as they see it. And if there's anything different, they're going to pounce on that and try to make the jury think that there's a credibility issue. So that also is why Deshaun is really avoiding getting into the weeds on any of the details. But on the 66, on one hand, you can understand how he wouldn't understand that number because there were so many, and I'm sure he probably didn't keep records of it. Yeah. But what do you make, G. Bush, of the way he answered that initially, where he said, that number doesn't seem right to me?
So they'll work with him. They'll get him back in. It's just like watching film. They'll coach him up, show him what he did wrong, where he could do better. You need to get the catchphrase. This is a really good catchphrase. I don't recall. That was, some of this. A lot of these things happened a few years ago. It's been a long time since then. I don't recall that number, but you would have to follow up with my counsel to get the exact number.
They've been digging into the phone records and whatnot.
Yeah,
okay.
So see, recall's a good number.
I mean, a little bit when he did the 66, he was like, was it 66? Like, it seemed like on his face, that's kind of what he was thinking about. Like, that is a lot. I think he did the right thing by taking it back to his lawyers and saying, yeah, you got to get with my legal team on that. Because if he would have answered it, he probably would have said either too much or not gave an answer that the world wanted to hear. So I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the right answer. I think,
like, how would you? What would you recommend?
Yeah, 66. No, not that many.
But what if it ends up provably 66 though?
I like it, he's in a crazy situation because you kind of like stand there like, man, if I engage in talking about 66, then you're down a rabbit hole of like, why would you need 66, right? And then if I say it wasn't 66 or I begin to defend like they're liars, then it becomes something else. And I get it. They knew that he was going to mess up some during the process, but I don't know. He just, like I was talking to you before the show, he just has like a lot of like, you have public opinion and Twitter opinion and Instagram opinion. Then you have like mainstream media opinion. Then you have the facts of the case. And I just don't think, this is with all due respect to him, I just don't think he's skilled enough to sit there and navigate that. And so you have to come back to these canned answers and knowing that you're going to take some abuse. A way he could have probably just framed it as like, hey man, I travel a lot, I move around a lot, I have multiple people who give me massages, and That's not to say if it's right or wrong or one thing or another, but to me, adding context around stuff to make people think like, okay, like, you know, he's a professional athlete. He moves to 4 or 5 different states or 10 states. I don't know. And I'm not trying to make like an excuse for him or anything like that. But to me, just like once that question was posed, I was like, there's no way to go.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose, really.
And I like what you did right there. I like that too. People are more or less not looking for whether he's guilty or innocent. What they're looking for is humanity, right? They want to find something that you have in common with them, right? So if you give them, hey, look, my life has been a whirlwind. I moved from Texas. I moved here. This is second or third place I've been. I'm learning the playbook. I want to be accurate with you guys, but it wouldn't do a service to the allegations or to my case to give out numbers that I'm not sure about. So you have to check with with my staff.
I imagine that's a provable number, one way or another. I mean, if there are receipts. there was payment that was made.
Right.
So I imagine that if you Maurice is rolling his eyes, but
okay, it's like we were talking about this before. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why I'm laughing with you.
I mean, it's like.
He crazy, yo.
I'm not crazy. Just like. Was my man in the wrong somewhere? Like, yes, but like, was we all like 23, 24, and you go like do stuff you're not supposed to be doing and you hope it doesn't get out? I think that's what you're dealing with right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about the 66, because when Ty was on last week, we talked about that number.
Okay.
You were a highly conditioned collegiate athlete, and you did spend time in the NFL, so you saw the way this world works. The 66 number over 17 months, ironically enough, comes down to 1 a week. So
that's about right.
What was the number of massages that you were getting or that your teammates were getting during the course of the season and then during the off season? Is it one a week? Is it more than one a week?
So there's people who get massages a couple times a week. That's not abnormal. You have some masseuses who will come in groups and they'll come to the actual facility and do them there. You have some guys who will go do them at home. These are real things. So, and there's honestly, right, there's a level of a dude who's young, who's successful, who's in shape, who has a bunch of money, and he may see, hey, instead of going out to the nightclub, I may try to have sex with a masseuse. Like, these are real things. Like somebody being young and but are the there's a football culture inside of the football world, then there's like a regular culture. And am I saying is it right or wrong? But when you heard this stuff this don't sound like
it didn't sound crazy to me.
Like keeping it real, just keeping it real. It don't sound crazy to people who live in that world.
Yeah.
And if this dude gets on the table, he's into that that's what's going on. I know that's off topic.
Actually, it's directly on topic, because what you're drilling down on is the culture of high-priced professional athletes, right? So I always tell people, if you're trying to date or casually hang out or hook up with people, the only place to do that is on dating sites. And people say, why can't you do it the old-fashioned way? Well, the old-fashioned way, there's an option for you to be like, ooh, if I run up on somebody in the grocery store and I don't see a ring or nothing, nowadays it's unacceptable for me to run up on somebody in the grocery store. You don't know if that person is married, divorced, single, got kids, don't want to be talking to people, or got PTSD. You know nothing. You're just assuming.
So you're using the dating site as a filter.
It's a filter.
To narrow it down to people that
want to date.
And him, exactly, I believe, and this is 100% guaranteed, Deshaun Watson, yes, was getting massages by these people, but he was also using that as a place to hook up with people.
Yeah,
it seems like it. Yeah, and I think that's what you were talking about earlier.
So, let's take it a step further, right? Like, there's different classes in life and just different social activities you do. This is no different than Robert Kraft. It's all it is. It's Robert Kraft, and I'm around people who are well-to-do, and well-to-do people have stuff going on that other people don't, and they just can't be seen. They can't be in the same places, and they can't do the same stuff. And so am I saying it's right or wrong? No, but to act like this is like some obscene idea where this is like an anomaly.
Anomaly. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, we get it.
I'm just saying, it's that, and it's like some stuff that just happens to be in public. It's like,
right.
How do you digest this? You digested how Robert Kraft did it, like erase the tape, push the judges on them, let's suppress this and move it to the back room. Deshaun Watson isn't Robert Kraft, and so he has to deal with it in public.
And G. Bush has talked about that a lot. Like, you can't have two different systems of justice, one for the owners who have the money and one for the players who are no matter, I know they're making a lot of money, but they're still subservient to the owners.
Let me clarify this before this. Look, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with none of it. Let me clarify.
We was talking about it before this show. We ain't on no side.
Here's the thing.
We just telling it like it is.
But where you're going is an area on this show that we haven't yet gone, which is surprising to me because we've turned over every stone on this show. But I think, and I had a conversation recently with a longtime professional athlete who said I can't use his name, but all I can say he was a longtime professional athlete, and we would all know his name. I asked him the question, is it outside the realm of reasonability that he would have 66 different masseuses over 66 or 70 weeks? And his direct and very quick answer was, absolutely not. When you're a race car driver, your main tool is your car. And that car is constantly being tuned up.
Yeah.
Even during the race, that machine is being tuned up. Tires are a little out. This is a little out. Tighten this, loosen that. The chassis is wrong. So it's even during the race, it's constantly. He said, my body and Deshaun's body and anybody who has relied on their body as their main tool, anybody that's been in that space understands that constantly needs adjustments.
Absolutely.
It constantly needs attention. And he scoffed at the idea that anybody would be shocked that a pro athlete would even have that many massages in that span of time.
That's what I told you the last time I was on. I was like 66 over 17 weeks is not crazy at all. Like
17 months.
Or 17 months.
Right.
That's not crazy. That's actually pretty accurate to what it is. That's literally one massage a week, which in the off season, you're training, you need to take care of your body. It's so many athletes that's out there, pro athletes that's getting massages weekly. Like Maurice said, some get it twice a week.
But who do you think is hearing this information on the other side of the TV? A regular guy who goes to work, lives a normal life.
Oh yeah,
fact.
So,
yeah,
but this is the fans in the stand. Like, everybody pays for a ticket, so when they hear it,
it sounds alarming. Yeah,
it does.
But then let's not take away. And then we also, like, let's be honest with each other. A dude who 23, 24 gonna try somebody in there.
Yeah, like I said, these kids, they call it demon time.
He was
on some demon time a little bit.
24,
he probably went through it once before and it happened. And he was like, man, this is all right here.
So let me give for you guys out there. Let me just give you the translation from Black Dictionary.
Oh, excuse me.
There's a lot.
I forgot.
I know there's 65,000 that was like demon time.
I forgot.
Demon? What? That's just calling. You're being disruptive. You're being naughty. You're not following the rules.
Or you're being tempted.
Yes.
That's the way I look at it.
So it's not literal, right?
Okay. Not literally.
We didn't do no literal.
But naughty behavior.
But I will say this. They're right. They're using your perception against you. 66 is a large number for somebody that just goes to work. They don't know anything. The regular guy who's doing construction does not have anything going. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this out there. Brett Favre was sued by two masseuses, and they were team masseuses in Minnesota. You can check that out.
This the thing though, G. Bush.
It's not new.
This is a new thing. Well, it's not new. It's an app that you can actually use. It's called Soothe. And when I was with the Browns and when I was with going through my whole professional career, if I didn't use, because you only get massages certain days of the week. Like it's either on the off day or they'll do it on Friday or Saturday before the game.
It's an allotted time.
Yeah, slotted time. If you don't make the slotted time, somebody take the time, you out. So you could go home. It's an app called Soothe, and they come to you and with the massage, and there it is. So
I didn't even know.
that's how and I can't tell you how many masseuses I've had, but if I've used Soothe, it's always a different person.
So put something on top of that. Then there's a level of entitlement once you become starting quarterback somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
For sure.
And that might be where he got in trouble here, where he felt like.
Listen to me, not Mike.
He did.
Sure. His own entitlement felt like, well, why wouldn't these women want?
But it became a bigger issue once the attorneys who were suing the people who filed a civil suit, they go back to say, hey, did you ever get a massage with him? Yeah, I gave him a massage. What actually happened? You know this may be a civil case. You know you weren't supposed to do that. And so when you round people up and you go to court and it's not about if you're innocent or guilty, it's like the story you're trying to portray. So I've been in the court system and it's not basically innocent or guilty. It's like you have 66 people, you have 66 women. They're trying to win the PR war. So I don't know if the man's guilty or if he's not. I would like to believe somebody's innocent until proven guilty, but to me, it's 1,000 dynamics, and they're hoping that they land and intimidate him and say, hey, start settling. But if you settle with one, you have to settle with 23.
Well, I'm glad you went to that point next, because our last soundbite, and we'll be quick with our discussion on this because we need to move along, but he was also asked on his likelihood of settling these cases. Listen.
Are you open to settling now? And what would it take to settle these?
Like I said, I just want to clear my name and be able to let the facts and the legal procedures continue to play out. So right now, that's all I'm doing is want to clear my name and be able to let all the facts come out in the court of law and be able to focus on that.
All right, so sort of double talk. He said the same thing twice. Mm-hmm. He wants to clear his name. That's what he's focused on. We've talked about whether or not a settlement would indeed clear his name. I think the perception is when you write the check, there's almost an admission of guilt, which is why you could see why someone that felt they were innocent would not want to do that. Do we see a settlement coming? Maurice, you haven't spoken on this because you haven't been in on days we've discussed this, but do you think that's
No, you have to fight it, because once you admit guilt and settlement to this one, that's just used against you. It comes in it's out there in the news, and every other attorney or whoever is representing these cases, they want you to settle and just say, hey, you're guilty, you've admitted it, and you're paying it that way. So to me, you have to fight them all.
Fight them all.
Fight them all to the end, and that's
it does seem like that's the strategy right now.
No, you have to.
That Rusty Hardin is completely content with letting these play themselves out in court, which won't happen until 2023. But that's where it seems we're going.
I can bet you this: after the preseason goes, and this, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, this is a hot topic because there's nothing else to talk about.
Sure. Once there's games to talk about, this is back page stuff.
And
We've seen it before.
I don't know if that's right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? But it just won't be a thing, or it won't be as a juicy thing. And his attorney, his team knows that, and they're going to drag it on. They're going to stick him in there every once in a while. They say, hey, defend yourself, defend your reputation, make sure you can still play, keep the Browns happy. And then they'll get to the season, and then we'll be talking about who's playing next week and who's going to win which division, and it just won't be a thing.
Yeah. Ty?
Yeah.
Should he settle?
No, I don't think he should settle. I mean, if it's about clearing your name, because I said this from the beginning, if somebody got this on my name for the rest of my life, I want it to be clear. If I know in my heart that I didn't do anything wrong, and if it was just what we say demon time, and it was just a masseuse and he was whatever it was, if it wasn't no sexual thing, you truly in your heart feel that you didn't do it, and you got 2 grand juries that said that you didn't criminally do anything wrong, yeah, I'm gonna fight it to the end for sure. Because that, like I say, I don't want Tyvis Powell sexual assault. I don't want that on my name. I just want just Tyvis Powell. That's it.
So, G, you've kind of been on both sides of this issue. I can remember one time you were like, no, and then another time you're like, this just needs to go away.
Well, when you add the Texans in, I think there's a possibility. You notice he said he's going to possibly add the Texans, right? You notice he ain't filed them papers yet.
Right.
He hasn't filed the paperwork to put the Texans in on it, right? That was a signal to the NFL. Hey, we would like you to do X, Y, and Z. We're not going to put the Texans in there yet if you play ball with us. If he does decide to put the Texans in there, I think the league goes to Deshaun Watson and says, well, look, now you got one of us involved. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to negotiate. We're going to give you 4 to 6 games or whatever, but you got to settle these lawsuits. If you don't settle them, we might give you a year, right? That's right. That could be right or wrong, right? I don't think you should do that and negotiate it. I think that's negotiating in bad faith, but I can see that happening. But I will say this, and I brought this up to somebody else. And when it comes to whether or not you're going to plea bargain to certain things, I always ask myself, you got a wife? Everybody wifed up. If Deshaun Watson allegedly did that to my wife, and she was a massage therapist, ain't no way in hell you can get. I'm not sure. I mean, I ain't never settling. I want the criminal charges.
Exactly.
I ain't going to no civil game. I want your life points.
Yeah.
You got to do some time, bro. And there ain't no settlement.
It's bigger than money.
It's bigger than money at that point. Right then, I would want to actually put hands on you. But guess what?
For sure.
And so for me, my thought process is, if you got people who are just joining late, because they saw the HBO thing, if I want criminal, not civil. Mm-hmm. And no lawyer can talk me off that. Well,
what does it say to you though that there've only been a handful of women that pursued the criminal avenue, while there's 26 now that are pursuing the civil avenue.
To me, that doesn't look like something that's above board. And I understand there's a couple of people that can come along and say, well, look, hey, I might not have the same type of case to get a criminal case, but if it's my daughter, if it's my sister, if it's my wife, if it's any of the above, it could be my goddaughter. I'm pushing. I'll go get a grand jury in Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. We'll just keep going to different places till we get a conviction. Because at the end of the day, that's what you got to stand on. So I'm like that on the opposite end with Deshaun Watson. If he's saying he ain't doing it, the allegations is so serious that you got to stand on that. You just got to say, look, no, we'll wait. I got 2023 and 24 and 25. We'll just go until y'all tired.
To your point about the NFL being concerned that the Texans are added now because it's one of them, it's much more internal problem for the NFL if a team is found guilty of this. We've talked about this before. Usually before you're making these massive calculated decisions, you're deciding what's the worst case scenario. And for the NFL, in my view, the worst case scenario is they hand down a punishment to Deshaun Watson of 6 or 8 or a year, and these cases do play out in courtrooms, and he's found not guilty in all 26. That's a nightmare for the NFL.
I think the NFL should just wait it out, man. Let the whole thing play out. That way you won't get it wrong. If he's innocent, boom, we'll handle it.
And
But
G.
for
Bush
this,
has recommended that
season
too.
right here, he's good.
But
we don't
I
know
think the
enough.
reason that won't happen is because the Browns want to know.
Well, I mean,
what are we dealing with here?
We should tell them. They should come out and say, you know what? Until his stuff is completely done, he's good. He's free to play. We're not handing out no punishment.
Right. We're gonna wait.
We're gonna wait until because we want to make sure that we get this thing right.
And why don't they do that?
Because the public perception they want.
Jim Donovan, who's very plugged in with the Browns, and I'm not sure where he got this, but he told me yesterday on our 5 o'clock show on Channel 3 that there is the expectation is we're going to know around the 4th of July, which is the first we've heard any date that I've heard. I've heard a lot of speculation. Well, it's got to happen before training camp. It's got to happen before week 1. But Jimmy yesterday on the program told me that everybody's sort of circling right around 4th of July and perhaps before the 4th of July. So that's just a couple of weeks. We should know. I do feel that we have to read this because Tony Busby, who is the attorney for the 24 women that have already filed, 2 more now that are going to file, released this statement after hearing Deshaun talk yesterday. He said, given the volume of the credibility cases filed, the lead detective's sworn testimony, the undisputed facts, and the heartbreak, pain, and havoc Watson has caused, we think it would be appropriate to see Deshaun Watson express some regret or remorse in the way he treated these women. Again, that's if you're operating under the assumption that he's guilty. Yeah. And Deshaun is not operating from that stance at all. So his point is, I can't apologize for something I didn't do.
See, because I already know how he's viewing it. They're saying sexual predator, rape, whatever. Like at the end of the day, the man went in there. And let me see, if I can take advantage, I will. And if not, I won't. I don't think he's like some sexual predator, but that's a gray area to like the mass public.
Yeah,
he was trying to leverage his stardom.
Yes. That's totally different
for consensual sex.
Yes,
and nobody is alleging, by the way, that there was any sex that took place out of the bounds of consensual. They're parsing words, saying that he forced them to do certain things that they didn't want to do, but they're all acknowledging they did them.
This isn't this isn't just a popular conversation. Like the way he would blow everybody up is just say, hey, look, man, I was young, I was going to have these masseuses or going to have these massages, and if I had a chance to have sex, no different than a guy goes to a club, and if I meet a woman and she's attractive, we both and I get lucky.
That's what it is. Let's get another pro's idea on this.